Welcome, mighty companions. Welcome back to Practical and Healing Applications of A Course in Miracles with Anna Kujawa. And we are going to be doing Course in Miracles today. I already did the random number generator for this class, and so I know where it's going to be. It's going to be chapter 16, section 3 in both of the editions. But even though we have chosen the section, let's do a little opening meditation to get us in the mood for spirit, our true self, our higher self. All right, so if you haven't already, close your eyes and take a breath. Now I want you to bring your mind lovingly out of the past, and I want you to bring your mind lovingly out of the future, and allow your mind to come back home to the right now, the present moment. You know where you are at right now. Tell your mind it's safe to come back home to the right now, mind. There's nothing to fear here. Remind your mind there's nothing you need do right now, mind. This is your time to rest in love, trusting love. Trusting that love knows you, knows what you need, knows what you want, knows how to heal you. We're going to rest our minds in love, trusting love with our minds, trusting that love has whatever we need right now. Right now, love has it for us. Peace, comfort, healing, joy, inspiration, answers. Love knows what you need, and love has it for you right now. So we rest in love. Trusting love, opening our minds and hearts to love's love for us. Breathing it in. Tuning in to the energy and the love and the power of the present moment now. Remembering that we are love. Love is our past, love is our future, love is our eternity, love is our identity. And everything else is just something we learned amiss. It was just a mistake. If you knew that you were love, only love, what might you feel right now about yourself, about life? How might you feel if you knew you were only love and couldn't be anything else? feel that feeling. Entertain the possibility of that feeling. Communicating with love. Let's ask love. Love, teach me. Teach me what I need to learn that I might remember my one and true identity as you, love. And breathe. Wonderful. And when you're ready, open your eyes and take a breath. Hi, mighty companions. Lovely to see you all. Lovely to feel your presence. Thank you for joining this healing circle. Way to love yourself, coming to listen to A Course in Miracles. And wherever A Course in Miracles came from is something that loves us worlds beyond what we love, how we love ourselves. So when you're listening to A Course in Miracles, you are listening to the thoughts that came from a mind that loves you beyond what you can even conceive, and certainly loves you more than you love yourself right now. So that's one of the ways to let yourself be healed, is to listen to the thoughts of a mind that loves you more than you love yourself. So way to love yourself by listening to these thoughts. All right. So where we're at today is a section called The Joy of Teaching. And it is in chapter 16, section 3 in both the edited Course in Miracles, the blue covered edition, and the unedited edition of A Course in Miracles called the complete and annotated edition, the purple covered edition. All right. So I dedicate this lesson to all of us who have decided to take our place among the healers of the world. So, you know who you are. You know, that's those of us who said the world needs healing. The world is in desperate need of healing. And if there's any way for me to take my part in the healing of the world and all the creations on the earth, then yes, I'm willing to take my place among the healers of the earth. Okay? So most probably if you're watching this, that is you. So the Course in Miracles calls us the teachers of God. The Course in Miracles calls us the healers of the world. The Course in Miracles calls us the light of the world. Okay, so that's our function. Course in Miracles says your only function is the one that God gave you, and your only function is healing. To accept that healing for yourself, and then to extend that healing to the world that so obviously desperately needs it. Okay? So really, that's our function. Course in Miracles says that's our only function, is to accept our own healing and to then extend that to the world. Okay? Not to proselytize the world, but to naturally extend the joy and the healing that comes when you have accepted the healing for yourself. Okay? So, So here we are. We've said I want to be part of the solution instead of the problem for mankind and all of creation. I want to take my place among the healers of the world. And the Course in Miracles says that the only thing that what makes you a healer for the world is the desire to be one. Okay? You want to be a healer for the world? Ta-da! You are one. That's your qualification, is that you decided that you wanted to be a healer for the world. Okay? Now, so first you become a healer, a teacher for the world, and then you learn what it really means to be that teacher and that healer for the world. So first we accept our function as teacher and healer for mankind, and then we learn how to do that and what that means to do that. So it's not like other jobs in the world. Other jobs, you apply for that job and you get that job based on past experience, right? But to be a teacher of God, a healer for the world, first you accept the job title, you accept the job position, then you learn how to be that, how to fulfill that job function. So it's a little different according to A Course in Miracles in terms of accepting your function, accepting the job. Okay? So now it's going to talk to us, us teachers and healers, and it's going to take us to the next level of teaching, all right? We've done good. We've accepted our function of being teachers and healers for mankind. We've done well saying, okay, my job as a healer is to first accept my own healing and then extend that naturally to the world. And now it's going to take us to the next level. All right. So, okay, you ready to go to the next level in your teaching and healing of the world? All right. Okay, first realize that you have taught well. That's the first thing I want you to hear. Okay? All right, that's the first thing. Going to take us to the next level of teaching and healing. What our teacher wants us to hear is you have taught well. Okay? Hear that. You have taught well. Okay? You've accepted your function and you have begun that process and you have done it how? Well. Okay? So hear that part. Okay? So good job on that. Okay? It says, but or and yet you have not yet learned how to accept the comfort of your own teaching, what you taught. All right. Okay. So we've taught well. We've taught you are love, 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 forgiveness, forgiveness, love. You are spirit, love, love, love. Only love is real. But we have not yet learned how to accept the comfort for ourselves of what we have taught. So I've done well at telling others. I've done well of reminding others, you are only love, you are innocent, there is no sin, don't feel guilty, you're innocent. But yet, sometimes when I need the comfort of the things I've taught, I don't allow that. I haven't accepted that comfort for myself. Okay. Anybody recognize that? The Course in Miracles calls us the unhealed healers. Okay? That's those who've signed up to be healers because we've learned that it makes us happy and it heals us to be helpful and healing for others. But yet we haven't accepted these concepts that we're teaching completely yet for ourselves. We haven't integrated them, we haven't accepted them. So I'm teaching guiltlessness, but sometimes I still feel guilty. I'm teaching guiltlessness, but sometimes I still make people feel guilty. Okay? That's us, the unhealed healers. But you got to start somewhere, and we have started, and we have started well. Okay, so it says, so if you will consider what you have taught, guiltlessness, innocence, love, and if you will consider how alien what you have taught is to what you thought you knew, what you learned in the past, you will be compelled to recognize that your teacher came from far beyond your thought system. And so this teacher who's taught you this could look upon your old thought system fairly and perceive that your old belief system was untrue. Okay? So I love it. That's so great. So our teacher is asking us to look at what we've taught. Guiltlessness, sinlessness, you are only love, forgiveness offers me everything I want, there is no sin. And then compare it to what you learned in your childhood. Notice the massive contrast. Guiltlessness, sinlessness, innocence, no sin, you are only spirit. That is not what I learned in my past. Okay? My old belief system is the opposite of that. Okay? What did I learn from my past? A lot of guilt. A lot of sin is real, and that it comes from God, right? So, and when you look at the contrast between what you're teaching others now and what you learned from the past, you'll be compelled to realize that your teacher, the teacher of A Course in Miracles, is a teacher that has come from way far beyond your thought system. Okay? That's how we know that A Course in Miracles did not come from our thought system. Okay? This teacher came from way far beyond our old belief system, Okay, great. And that's why our teacher, the voice of the Course, can look upon our old belief system, look upon it fairly, not recoil in horror or laugh at us, but our teacher can look on our old belief system that we learned from the past and just go, oh, untrue. That's it. He doesn't go, oh my God, how could you ever believe that? Lydia, you're so gullible. What an idiot. Our teacher is able, since it's so far beyond our belief system, it can look on it and just go, it's just not true, that's all. It's not bad, it's not wrong, it's not horrible. The people who taught you that are idiots. You know, it was just what you learned in the past. It's just untrue, that's all. That's the only true statement you can say about what you learned in the past. That's it. It's just not true. It's just not true, that's it. You know? And that's also how we forgive it. We identify it correctly. You know, I look at my past beliefs, I look at their past beliefs, I look at their current beliefs, and no judgment except to say untrue. It doesn't need to be attacked, it doesn't need to be feared, it doesn't need to be judged. I don't have to go, you need to be corrected. What you believe ain't true. It's just untrue. That's all it was, all that we learned. And it says, and our teacher must have looked upon our old belief system and saw it was not true from the basis of a very different thought system, and a thought system with nothing in common with your belief system. So our teacher, its belief system has nothing in common with our old belief system, or we could just say our belief system, which we obviously still believe. Okay, wow. So how do you know when you're hearing your teacher? Well, it won't have, whatever your teacher's saying, it will be the exact opposite of everything you believe when you're upset. Well, how do I know when I'm listening to Spirit's voice? How do I know? Well, did it say something to you that was familiar? No, not at all. I didn't even understand what it said. Bingo, that's probably your higher self talking to you. Okay? And if you hear something loving and you don't quite understand what it means or how to apply it, and it wasn't your first instinct, that's probably the voice of your higher self. Okay? And it's very important to be able to recognize the difference between your higher self, your teacher, and your ego. Because you know your ego is so dang crafty. Guess whose voice the ego's voice sounds like? Ego's like, I know how she'll listen. I will sound like her, exactly. All right. Sometimes your ego sounds like your parents' voice too. But you can always tell the difference between your teacher's voice and your ego's voice. Your teacher's voice is loving, and it's not what you would have come up with yourself. To the point where you're like, I'll have to write that down and see if I come to understand what that means later. Okay? And of course, in Miracles teaches us that the way that you understand something is not you apply it. The only way you can actually understand a concept that you didn't make up is to apply it, to use it, and then you will understand it. You don't understand the truth just because it sounds good. All right. Then it says, for certainly what your teacher has taught you and what you taught through your teacher has nothing in common with what you taught before. For sure. What I was teaching before I made contact with my teacher, the voice of the Course in Miracles, and what I'm teaching now through the voice of the Course is completely, what did it say? It has, again, nothing in common with what I taught before my teacher came into my awareness and after. Okay? Now, and the results have been to bring peace by listening, by teaching through our teacher. The results have been to bring peace where there was pain, which means the results have been suffering has disappeared to be replaced by joy. Wow. That's the other thing that you can tell when you're listening to the voice of your teacher, the voice of the Course, the voice of love within you. What happens is the exact opposite of what used to happen in the past. Something totally different happens. You let that voice teach through you. You listen to its words and you give its words, not your old words. And suffering disappeared. Disappeared. Did it say gradually? It said suffering disappeared and was replaced by joy. That's what happens when you teach through the loving teacher, the voice of the Course. That's what happens. That's why I teach A Course in Miracles. That's why I teach this book. That's why I teach these ideas, because it's for real. That's exactly what happens. I'll be suffering and in hell, and then I let these words come through me, and then suffering disappeared and replaced by joy. To the point where I'm going, now what was that I was so upset about? What was that I was crying about? What was that I was screaming about? What was that? Oh, I can't even remember. That's what happens. That's the results of teaching through spirit. Okay? Now, what does that mean, teaching through spirit? It means, spirit, what does this mean? Spirit, what am I looking at? Spirit, what should I do? What should I say? What does this mean, Spirit? Hey, Spirit, where would you have me go? What would you have me do? Spirit, how do you see this? How would you respond, Spirit? That's how we teach through Spirit. Our teacher. And notice that it's calling our higher self your teacher. It says, your teacher. Right? So, hallelujah, we have a teacher, and this teacher comes from far beyond our old belief system. And when we let this teacher teach through us by going to it first to ask what everything means, then the results that happen are suffering disappears. Not gradually, it disappears and is replaced by joy. Okay? The joy of teaching, okay? Teaching through the Spirit, your loving right mind. And it's also in the blue covered edition, the edited title is The Reward of Teaching. So the edited title was The Reward of Teaching. This title is The Joy of Teaching. Okay, beautiful. So that's the kind of result we're looking for. I got some suffering going on, and I would really like for it to disappear and have it be replaced by joy right now, at no cost, right now. No questions asked, no exceptions, no conditions. Suffering was here, I was suffering, now it's gone, and joy is in its place. That's the kind of results that we want. What brings about those kinds of results? Saying, Spirit, what am I looking at? What does this mean? Please speak through me. Decide for me. Okay? Teaching through Spirit, which really means letting Spirit speak through us. But the only way to let Spirit speak through us is if we stop speaking and ask. Okay? Otherwise, Spirit's like, well, I can't really talk through you when you're talking to yourself. Again. Are you done? How you feeling? You're talking to yourself a lot today. How's it feel? Oh, feels bad. Well, good thing there's options. You don't have to keep listening to that voice, your voice from the past. You know, there are options, just in case you have suffered enough. Okay? That's when it is that our mind is open to asking. Perhaps there's another way of looking at this. What could I lose by asking? The only time we ever are open to that is when we are like, I can't take it anymore. There's got to be a better way than what's going on right here. Okay? So that's the blessing of when you've reached your limit. That's the blessing of hitting your pain threshold. That's the gift. You know, so when someone's like, oh, I'm suffering so bad, you're like, all right, okay, now maybe, all right. So when you're really suffering, it's a blessing, it's a gift, because maybe you're right there, maybe you've hit your pain threshold and you are ready to hear a better way of thinking, a better way of perceiving, a better way of forgiving and healing. So if you're there, congratulations. There is a better way. He said, what does he say? He says the turning point in the suffering, the turning point is when you say, maybe there's a better way. Maybe there's another way of looking at this. What can I lose by asking? Maybe I don't know all there is to know about this. Maybe there's another way of looking at that. That's the highest your ego can go, and that's when you turn that corner away from suffering and head on down the road to peace. Okay. All right. Now, it says, that was paragraph 1. Okay. Paragraph 2. You have taught freedom. Wonderful. Okay, so what was the first line of the first paragraph? You have taught well. Okay, great. Let's hear that. Second time, you have taught freedom. We have taught freedom. We have told people, you deserve to be free from fear. You deserve to be free from guilt. You deserve to be free from pain. You deserve to be free of fear. You deserve to be free of suffering. We have taught that, and we've taught it well. Okay, good. Now let yourself hear that, especially right before what it's about to say next. It says, but you have not learned how to be free. That is, boy, if that ain't the truth. That is so true. We have taught freedom, but we have not learned how to be free yet. Wow. Yep. Okay, that's great. At least we know where we're at. At least we know what's going on. You know, once you know where you're at, then you can chart your course properly. can't chart your course to where you're going if you don't know where you're at. Okay? And where I'm at is I have taught freedom well, and I haven't learned yet how to be free. Okay? But I want to learn how to be free. Free from suffering, free from fear, free from guilt, free from limitation, free from bondage, free from pain, free from lack. That kind of freedom. That's the freedom we're talking about here. All right. Now it says, we once said, quote, by their fruits ye shall know them, and they shall know themselves. Okay. Because it is certain that you judge yourself according to your teaching. So I'm judging myself according to what I have taught. What I tell people, what I say to people, what I'm reminding people, what I'm demonstrating to people, that's what I'm judging myself by. Okay? And the ego's teaching produces immediate results. Have you ever wondered why your ego thoughts manifest so damn fast, but your Course in Miracles workbook lessons seem to manifest a lot slower? You ever wondered why that is? That is because we are immediately accepting the ego's decisions as our choice. You know, when the ego speaks, we go, yeah, or oh. When the ego speaks, how often when the ego says something mean to you, do you go, hey, who said that? What kind of authority are you? Well, what's your authority to say that? Why should I listen to you, right? Okay, but notice how when we hear the loving voice, we're like, oh, I don't know if I can trust that. Is that me just, because I had a glass of wine, can I trust that? Someone says, you're so amazing, you're incredible, I'm so grateful to you, and you go, well, what do you want? That's the first thought, okay? So when the ego speaks, we immediately accept its decisions, okay? And then later, after we've suffered, go, well, maybe the ego doesn't know, maybe the ego isn't the one who knows the truth about this situation or me, okay? So, but when it happens that we don't immediately accept the ego's voice, we question it, recognizing that's got to be the ego's voice, so I'm going to question that because it's mean, it's unloving, and as soon as the Spirit speaks to us and goes, you're innocent, you're guiltless, it's just a mistake, don't feel bad, you're innocent. As soon as we accept that immediately, you're only love. Thank you, I'm only love. As soon as we accept the loving voice and the loving messages immediately, then they'll manifest immediately. Right now, the ego stuff manifests immediately because as soon as the ego talks, we go, we're not even questioning it yet. Okay? So that's what we've got to look forward to. We're going to start questioning that mean, unloving voice sooner. We're not going to immediately accept what the ego says as truth. And when the loving voice speaks, we're going to immediately go, thank you very much. Yes, I accept that. Thank you very much. Yes, I accept that. Thank you very much. I accept that. Thank you, teacher. I accept that. Okay? So that's what we've got to look forward to. That's where we're heading. Okay? That's where we're heading as teachers. We're very good at teaching the truth, but we're still very quick to accept the ego's voice, the ego's lies. Okay? So, but that's what's changing. That's what's changing. Thank you. Yay, good news. Okay. Now, it says, and every time you immediately accept whatever the unloving voice says, it says, that just means you're willing to judge yourself according to the ego. When the ego speaks to me and I go, and I accept what it says and feel bad as it wants me to, it just means that I'm willing to judge myself according to how the ego is judging me. It's like, I judge you an idiot. I judge you as a failure. I judge you as a loser. I judge you as whatever. And I go, yeah, I guess I judge myself like that too. And that's what's going on. And that's why the effects of the ego's lies seems to manifest so much more and so much faster than the effects of these ideas that we have indeed taught. So why is it that I've been teaching these ideas for a long time, but I'm still manifesting a lot of the results of the ego's voice? This explains why that's happening. Because we're still unhealed healers. We haven't accepted completely for ourselves that which we are teaching to others. And that's all right. That's how we all begin as teachers. That's how we all begin as teachers and healers. We all begin as people who have not accepted the truth for ourselves completely. And that's why we become teachers and healers. Course in Miracles teaches us that, that if you want to be healed, you got to teach healing. If you want to be free, you got to teach freedom. So what does that mean? That means first you teach it, and then you accept it. Because until I'm teaching it, until I'm giving it to others, there ain't no way I'm going to believe I deserve it. Okay? So, of course, we are teaching it without fully accepting it and believing it. That's why we had to become teachers and healers. So don't feel like a loser teacher. Don't feel like a loser healer. You wouldn't need to teach if you had already accepted the truth completely for yourself. Isn't that interesting? You wouldn't need to teach. Now, what would be coming from you would be the good, the beautiful, and the holy, but you wouldn't need to teach it. Right now, we need to teach these ideas because we need to learn them. We haven't accepted them yet for ourselves. And teaching them is the only way to do it. So don't be discouraged that you've been teaching these ideas, but yet you haven't fully manifested them only in your life. Okay? Good news. Don't feel bad. Don't feel bad about yourself as a teacher or a healer or a helper. So, when I talk about us as teachers and healers, I'm talking about us who have decided I want to be part of the solution for mankind, not part of the problem. I just want to be helpful. I just want to be helpful to the world somehow. And that's our function. That's our function. The Course in Miracles says God gave us the function of being helpful. That's what it means to be a healer. That's what it means to be a teacher. I may not have accepted the truth for myself completely, but my purpose really is to be helpful. I may not know how to be fully helpful yet. I may not have accepted that kind of help for myself yet, but my purpose is to be helpful. That's how I became a teacher. I decided I'd rather be helpful than harmful. And I'm sure, and everybody watching this is somebody who has decided that they would rather be helpful than harmful in the world or to other human beings. You wouldn't be interested in the Course in Miracles if you hadn't already made that decision. And the Course in Miracles says the minute, the moment, the second we decided I would rather be helpful to humanity instead of harmful, in that very second you became a teacher and a healer to mankind. Even if you didn't believe in God, even if you don't know what the hell that means. In that moment when you saw somebody else's interests as not separate from your own, and you saw that, hey, their happiness is connected to my happiness, let me help them to be happy. That moment you became a teacher of God, you became a healer of mankind, even if you don't believe in God. Okay? And that's us. And so we have done well in that we made that decision to become a teacher, to become helpful and not harmful. Okay? Now we're just fine-tuning. We're fine-tuning. We're learning what that means. Okay, so once we have accepted the truth only for ourselves, we won't need to teach. And we will be effortlessly demonstrating without having to open our mouth. But right now we need to teach so that we can feel like we deserve to be free. I need to teach freedom so that I can believe once and for all, finally, that I deserve to be free. See, I need to teach freedom. What is it I want? I want to be free. I want to be free of pain. I want to be free of limitation. I want to be free of guilt. I want to be free of shame. I want to be free of lack. I want to be free of what frightens me. I want to be free from fear. Okay. Well, the only thing that's keeping me from experiencing that freedom is the belief I don't deserve it. It's not like God is like holding it back, waiting for Christmas to come around to see if I've been good or not. That is always eternally offered us. But we are not experiencing that freedom because we don't believe that we deserve it because of what we learned in the past. And the only thing that will enable us one day to go, hey, I do deserve to be free of pain and suffering. I do. The only thing that'll ever bring me to that revelation is that I've been teaching it to others. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be free. You deserve to be free from guilt. You deserve to be free from shame. You deserve to be free from lack. You deserve to be free from limitation. That's how it happens. That's why I got to teach it, so that I can one day come to realize I do deserve it myself. It's like I'm the last one to get what I'm teaching. Isn't that hilarious? And so when somebody says to you, you are not a very good example of A Course in Miracles, which every teacher of A Course in Miracles will hear at one point or another. Then you say to them, I know, that's why I keep teaching it. That's why I have to keep doing it. Okay? So, I've heard lots of, I've been a teacher of A Course in Miracles a long time, and had many people angry at me for various and sundry reasons over the years. And that's always the first thing they say. You are not a very good demonstration of A Course in Miracles. And I go, I know, I'm working on it. But I gotta keep teaching. I know I'm teaching something I haven't accepted for myself, but I gotta keep teaching it anyway. So, yeah, you're right. Okay, so when that person tells you that, you're being inconsistent with what you're teaching, don't go, well, you are too. Just say, yes, I know, and that's what I'm working on. Yeah. Yes, I know I'm not the best demonstration of A Course in Miracles that I'm teaching. Yes, I know that, and that's why I have to keep teaching. So you just reminded me that I have to keep teaching, even though I'm not demonstrating it perfectly, especially in my special relationships. Okay, that's the place where where all teachers and healers are least consistent with what they teach others is their special relationships, the people we're closest to. That's where we make the biggest exceptions, where we are the most of all telling other people the truth, but not accepting it for ourselves. That's where we're making the biggest exceptions. That's where the biggest inconsistencies are. Okay, all right. Because we're teaching unconditional love and forgiveness, and then what comes up in our special relationships? The desire to murder. In the form of judging and condemning and trying to change them and making them feel bad because they're not demonstrating love very well either. Oh, all right. And we're all doing it, and we're all innocent. We're all just learning. Okay. So, And by the way, you guys watching on YouTube, for some reason I don't see any comments. Maybe nobody's watching, and maybe that's why there's no comments. So if you're commenting or asking questions and I'm not answering them or acknowledging you, it's just because I don't see you yet. So oh look, there's a comment. So someone, Bridget says, yes, Anna, the special relationships. All right. Okay, thank you. At least I know that the comments thing is working and somebody's watching. I'm new to YouTube live stream, so I'm still learning it. All right, great. So it says, cause and effect are very clear in the ego's thought system because all your learning has been directed towards establishing the relationship between your ego and the ego's results. So yeah, we get that, you know. What the ego thinks and says and does, its effects show up very fast. You know, you see its results very fast. Now, and would you not have faith in what you have so diligently taught yourself to believe? Of course we believe what the ego says immediately without question. Why wouldn't we? We've been so diligent in teaching ourselves the ego belief system. Why wouldn't we just accept its lies, you know, without any question, without questioning the ego? Of course we would. And that's why the ego results seem to happen so much faster than the results of these ideas, which we're not so quick to accept, you know? So someday we're going to be as quick to accept the truth, the loving ideas about ourselves, as we are quick to accept the ego lies as we are now. So that's the good news. And then the effects of these ideas will be just as fast. They will manifest just as fast as the ego's results have been. Beautiful. Now, but remember how much care you have exerted in choosing the ego's witnesses. And remember also how much care you have exerted in avoiding those who spoke for the cause of truth and the truth's effects. You know, so he just wants us to notice that, you know, notice that when that we were much quicker to choose the ego's witnesses. Anyone who would witness to our ego story, oh hallelujah, step right on up and let me receive your testimony. Let me put it in a video and send it to you know who. Right, but those who were speaking for the cause of truth and its effects, I was like, yeah, whatever, listen, whatever. Okay. So the one who said, I know, can you believe what they said and did? Oh my God. Remember how much care you've exerted in choosing that witness and overlooking the witness said, there is no sin. They're just as insane as we are and just as innocent. Nothing happened. We're like, oh yeah, listening. Okay. He's asking us to look at how much care we have exerted in choosing the ego's witnesses and in avoiding the witnesses who spoke for the cause of truth and its effects. Again, that's why the ego thoughts seem to manifest so much faster and so much bigger than the truth thoughts. Because we accept the ego's ideas like that and side with them, and when the truth speaks, we're like, oh, I don't know about that. You know, what do you want? Okay, that's why. So it's wanting us to understand as teachers, why is it I've been teaching the Course in Miracles, I've been teaching it, but I'm not really seeming to get all the results. Like I'm still having a lot of ego shit in my life going on. I'm still having as much ego stuff as I did when I wasn't teaching love and freedom. Why is that? This totally explains it. Because even though we're teaching love and freedom, when the ego speaks to us, we accept it without question. And when the loving voice speaks, we're like, well, you know, I don't know about that. I don't know if I'm all that. I don't know if they're all that. Right? Okay. That's it. It's explaining to us things that come up when you're a teacher and a healer, someone who's trying to be helpful in the world, why it is that even though you become a teacher of love and helpfulness, sometimes it seems like there's more ego crap than there is than a teacher or healer or helper should have. Seems like a teacher of this should have more results, you know, where the suffering is disappearing, not increasing. Okay? This answers that questions that all teachers and healers have at some point in their teaching career. Boy, does that explain a lot. And so, if you, teacher and healer, teacher of love, teacher of freedom, who have taught freedom and love very well, if you find you are experiencing the results of ego in your life right now, now you know what's going on. Now you know what's going on. You need to take your focus off of what you're sharing with others and apply that to yourself. You need to go, what is it I've been teaching? What is it I teach? Okay, great. Let me apply this to myself today. Take my focus off of changing them. Take my focus off of analyzing them. Take my focus off of trying to change this situation outside of myself. Trying to get them to accept the truth. Try to stop trying to get them to see how crazy they are and how it's their fault that you're upset, and go, my only responsibility is to accept this truth for myself. Don't worry about them right now. My only responsibility as a teacher of love and freedom is to accept the love and the freedom and the release from guilt for myself. Now that will shift, because the results of that will be where suffering will disappear and be replaced with joy, whatever that form of suffering is. Wow. All right. Beautiful. Okay, questions or comments, thoughts, feelings?
That was the perfect thing to walk into here. I mean, I always just walk right into your channel. I'm so grateful for you. I love everything you say. I don't know why this room's not filled. I think it's because it's so far up the mountain. Like,
yes.
I don't know, but like you're really, really, really channeling, and it's really beautiful. My experience is that I met this wonderful guy. I felt sitting on my bed, and I had felt this thunder cracker feeling inside. I'm like, I gotta go to Guadalajara. And I'm like, you don't gotta go to Guadalajara. It's like Saturday, 7:30 at night. I don't ever go to Guadalajara. And I'm like, yeah, you gotta go to Guadalajara. So I go to Guadalajara, and I'm listening to Sanatan Kaur on the way. You know her. Mm-hmm. And I meet this big Sanatan Kaur fan in Guadalajara. Mm-hmm. And he's been in my room for 3 days. Wow. And so, and the thing about it was I wasn't really looking for that.
I know you weren't.
That wasn't what I was seeking. I just listened to this nothing voice. It's like, Yada Guadalajara. That was an idea that felt like I was walking away from the idea. I was going down away to the Malacom, saying, I'm not going to go to Guadalajara. That's so difficult. I was in a traffic jam an hour and a half on the way there, chanting mantra on the way there, listening to Sanatan Kaur. Meet this guy. He's like, who's your favorite musician? Sanatan Kaur. If you had a guru, who would your guru be? Sanatan Kaur. No. Like, I listen to her every morning when I wake up. I listen to her first thing in the morning. It's the first voice I hear every day. And like, the thing about that is universal code of God is really, really clear. And the thing about it that you said when I walked in, first thing I heard you say was that no matter how much of a teacher you are, I've been told I'm HIV positive. We've had sex numerous times with a condom, but I haven't said I'm HIV positive. And there's a lie there, and there's a protection there, and there's a fear there, and there's something going on there. But the thing about it is, I accept that, and I can shout that out to you, and without any shame. And I'm doing the best I can with very, very challenging story. It's been so tricky.
Exactly.
How can I be this perfect person everyone wants me to be? I'm a teacher like you.
You're a gifted teacher.
I'm just like you.
A gifted teacher and a gifted healer. Exactly. And so the only thing for you to do right now is to accept the freedom from fear and guilt for yourself right now. You've taught freedom well. You have taught love well. You're a very gifted teacher of it. What it was saying in the paragraph before you got here was that you've taught well, but you haven't allowed yourself to accept the comfort of your own teaching for yourself. That's what it was saying before you walked in. And it says, and you've taught freedom, but you haven't yet learned to be free from fear, from guilt. And so now we say, all right, here I am, a teacher of love. I've taught freedom from guilt, I've taught freedom from shame, I've taught freedom from sickness, and I've taught it well. Now it's time for me to accept it for myself. And now I can accept the freedom from guilt and shame and sickness for myself. Now I can accept it for myself. Why? Because I gave it to somebody else. And until I gave that freedom from guilt and limitation to somebody else, I could never believe that I really, really did deserve it, even though I was teaching it. Okay, but now that since I've been teaching it, and according to this, we've been teaching it well, now I can accept it, because now I believe I deserve it, finally. And that's why I had to teach, so that I could believe that I deserved it. And when I accept that freedom and that love and that truth without question, then it will manifest instantaneously. It'll manifest as fast as the ego shit used to manifest.
There's such a fear in me, Anna, that I'm just like, I'm gonna tell him today, as soon as I get back, but I feel this in my body. And it's like, this fear is like a fear of abandonment again, and it's so fiction. It's like, what I am can never be abandoned.
Yes.
And it's really important for me to tell the truth about that now.
Absolutely.
In my life.
It's very important for you to accept the freedom from guilt now for yourself, once and for all. And then you won't have to, you'll automatically be a brilliant teacher of that, and a teacher who compels the conviction of other people because you've accepted it for yourself. So now, once you've accepted it for yourself, then when you say it to people, they're going to get it. They're going to get it because your conviction will sustain the belief of the person that you're saying it to. And thank you for saying what you're saying about my class. For a long time, I've noticed that most of my students are online. It's very interesting. So, but the Course in Miracles, there's nothing that I've ever seen on the whole planet that is more of a threat to the ego. And so you love it, we love it, we're like, ooh, give us more.
I've seen it,
But
and I've heard it, but you bring it to life, my friend.
But,
you give
yes.
you dose me up with this. I'm crying, like I cry every time. I haven't been here to hear you talk Course in Miracles, or I haven't cried yet.
Wow.
I've not had that experience with you.
Wow.
Just so you know.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
I'm touched every time I come here,
Right on.
deeply. Yeah.
Bless you.
Thank you.
That's the way I feel in your classes.
I'm
Same
grateful.
way. You know, deep gratitude for the healing that you're teaching. Yes,
Thank you.
truly.
Thank you for your beautiful help to me. Free
Bless you.
therapy.
Bless you. That's right, exactly. Free therapy, exactly. That's why I don't need to feel guilty about charging for my private sessions. Because I give most of what I do away for free. So I don't need to feel guilty for charging for my one-on-one.
Agreed.
You know. Okay, beautiful. Okay. Beautiful. Now, we're on paragraph 3. Does not the fact that you have not learned what you have taught show you that you don't perceive everybody as one? Oh, I haven't learned what I have indeed taught. What does that mean? It shows me that I still don't see us all as one. I'm teaching oneness, but I don't see us as one yet. I'm getting there. I'm teaching it, but I don't really see us as one yet. I still see us as two separate entities, two separate people. Okay, so I'm teaching oneness, but I haven't completely accepted it and learned it myself yet. Okay, that's all that means. But no shame, no problem. That's why I'm teaching it. It just means I just got to keep teaching it.
So that's why when we get into this situation where we're having some difficulty with another person, that we're just not getting it. Because if we were getting it, we would realize we're all one.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
That's
why
it's not them, it's
exactly. If I really did believe that we were all one, then when I taught it to someone else, then I would have immediately knew that it completely applied to me, 100%, no exceptions. You know. But since I don't see us as one yet, then I think I can teach it to you, but it doesn't apply to me. You know, you are innocent and guiltless, and you are only loved, but I'm not. Right? You deserve to be totally free from fear and guilt and lack, but I don't yet. Okay? For some reason, I'm an exception to my rule. Okay? That's where we're at right now in our teaching career, in the fulfillment of our teaching function. Okay? But just by hearing this takes us, this enables us to make very fast progress in our profession as teachers and healers of humanity. Okay? This is tweaking and tuning and purifying us as teachers. Now, it says, because it is impossible to teach successfully wholly without conviction, and it is equally impossible that conviction be outside of you. What does that mean? Whenever you read something you don't understand what it means, just keep reading. And it's always explaining itself, which means you could never have taught freedom unless you did believe in freedom. And it also must be that what you taught, freedom, came from yourself. Okay, so if I taught freedom, then I wouldn't be teaching freedom unless I believed in freedom, and I'm the one who taught it, so it came from myself. But this self that is teaching freedom, we clearly do not know. It's like there's a self in me that knows freedom is true. It's teaching freedom. It believes in freedom. It knows it's the truth, and it's teaching it, and it's teaching it well. But this self in us, that is obviously in us, a capital S self, we don't know. So there's a self in us. It is us, but we don't know it. It comes in, it teaches through us. It's there, it's in us, it's teaching through us, but we don't know that self. Right? We don't know our teacher self. You know, we're still identifying with our ego, the part that hasn't accepted the truth for itself. Isn't that interesting? And it says, and you don't recognize your teacher self, even though your teacher self is functioning. Obviously, you're teaching and teaching well. So it's very interesting. I don't know my teacher self. All I know is still, I just know better my ego. I'm identifying with it more. I listen to it and accept its lies without question, and its results manifest faster. So I'm relating more on a day-to-day basis with my ego. And then I go to teach, and I'm like, whoa, who was that? Dang, who was that person? Right? Isn't that the way it is? When the love is coming through you, and the truth is coming through you, and it feels so good. And then you go, wow, who was that? Dang. Okay. Well, it's yourself that you don't identify with or recognize. That's who that is. That's you that you don't recognize. That's your higher self that is really you that you don't identify yet. So you're like, who was that? Or we say, oh, that wasn't me, that just came through me. No, that was you. But it's just the real you, it's just the part of you that you don't recognize. And remember, recognize means to know again. Right? So that's wonderful, it's good to know, and that's what we need to know as teachers, is when that good stuff comes through you, that love, that freedom that you're teaching, that truth, and it's coming through you so beautifully. When that moment passes, remember that's the real you. Don't let your ego go, well, I don't know who that was, or who was that? Don't let your ego tell you that that was like a fluke, or, oh, that must have been, you were channeling, some higher teacher or something. In other words, not identify with it. That's what we do, like, who was that? No, this is saying, recognize that is the real you. The part of you that knows the truth and has accepted it, the part of you that is teaching it, that's the real you, and it is there. In other words, what functions must be there. There it is doing something. Well, obviously it must be there, that self that taught freedom in you. And it is only if you deny what your real self teacher has done that you could possibly deny your real self teacher's presence. Wow. Okay, so we're sitting here trying to deny the presence of our real self, the one that has taught freedom well. We're trying to deny its presence. We're trying to not associate with it. And then what do we do next? Completely forget about it. It's been the most difficult thing for me ever to watch my classes, to watch them back for years. It's been extremely difficult to do because my ego wants me to forget that part of myself, because my ego does not want me to identify with that. My ego wants me to think that that is a fluke and wants me to forget my real self, the teacher within me that has taught freedom and has taught it well. Okay, so that's the next thing it does. It's like makes you forget what came through you. You don't write it down. I don't watch the video back. I don't write it down. I don't share it. Of Course in Miracles says when that truth comes through you, that you teach well, when it comes through you, you've got to symbolize it in some way. And he says, and if you don't do something to symbolize it, you will not remember it. And that's the ego's goal, so that you will not know who you really are and come to identify with your true self, your real self, the part of you that has been teaching love and freedom and has taught it well. Okay. So I'll take a breath. Wow, it's time to go. Okay, I'm just going to go a little bit. I'm just going to do one more paragraph, and then because this last paragraph sums it all up beautifully. Okay. A Course in Miracles is a course in how to know yourself. What is myself? Who am I? What am I? What is myself? A Course in Miracles is a course in how to know yourself, who and what you really are. And guess what? You have taught what you are, but you have not let what you are teach you. Wow. I'm going to say that again.
Wow.
That deep?
I love that. I
The name of this section is The Joy of Teaching. And then the other title is The Reward of Teaching. And it's speaking to us who have decided to become the healers, the helpers for mankind, and where we still need that deeper learning about what it means to be a teacher. Okay? Okay, here we go. This is a course in how to know yourself. You have taught what you are, but you have not let what you are teach you. Woo! What have we been doing? If we haven't let what we are teach us, even though we've taught what we are, what have we been doing instead? Well, what you've been doing is you've been very carefully avoiding the obvious about what you are. It's so obvious that you are the light of the world. It's so obvious that you're a healer. It's so obvious that you're a savior. It's so obvious that you're a gifted teacher. It's so obvious that you are so helpful, that you are the light of the world, that you are that self, that voice that teaches love and teaches freedom. That's you. But we have been very careful to avoid the obvious in terms of who and what we really are. So here we are, like, it's so obvious, teaching love brilliantly, beautifully, but not letting it teach us what we are, that we are that. So here we are, we channel this beautiful, healing, loving truths to the world, but then still identify and see ourselves as unloving, unlovable, and everything the ego says about us. Now, that's us very carefully avoiding the obvious truth about us. You know, obviously we are loving. Obviously we are lovable. Obviously we are loving. Obviously we are helpful. Why? Because look at us, we've been teaching that. What's more helpful and loving to teach the world that there is no sin? Don't feel guilty. What's more loving than that? So it will come through us so beautifully, so lovingly, but yet we are avoiding the obvious. Obviously, we are love, we are only love, we are loving, and still side with the ego and believe the ego immediately when it goes, you're a loser, you're not very loving at all. You're certainly not very lovable either. And who could love you? Okay? Where that's us carefully avoiding the obvious about what we are and who we are, which should be totally obvious given all that we're extending to the world. It should be obvious that since our purpose is to be helpful and loving, that means we are loving, and that we are lovable. But we are carefully avoiding the obvious there. It says, you've been very careful to avoid the obvious, which means to not see the real cause and effect relationship that is perfectly apparent. If you're teaching love, that means you are love. If you're teaching freedom, that means you are freedom. That's us carefully avoiding the real cause and effect relationship that's really perfectly obvious. Yet within us is everything we taught. Hallelujah. Good. Yet within us is everything we taught. Now, what can it be that didn't learn what we have taught? It must be this that is really outside of yourself, not by your own projection, but in truth. So what is it in me that hasn't learned what I've been teaching and teaching well? What is it? It's something that really is outside of you. It's not a part of you, not just by your projection, but in reality. The ego really is not a part of you. The ego really is outside of you. The ego is not even a part of you. If God didn't make the ego part of you when God created you, then it ain't part of you. It's not a part of you. So only the ego, which isn't even a part of you, is the only thing that hasn't learned what you've been teaching and teaching well. Dang. The Course in Miracles literally says to say about the ego, a thing apart. It's not even a part of me. It's something that's not even part of me. It's just a voice from outside of me that I'm listening to and believing without questioning. Wow. And it is this ego, the part of you that hasn't learned the truth that you have taught, that you have taken in, that isn't you. Now, what you accept into your mind, like the ego, doesn't really change your mind. Hallelujah. Just because you've accepted the ego into your mind doesn't mean it has changed your mind. Isn't that beautiful? Just because you accepted the ego into your mind doesn't mean that the ego has changed your mind into something else. Your mind is not something besides loving and lovable. Just because you accepted the ego into your mind. What's the ego? That's the part of you that's not even a part of you. It's just a belief that you accepted that says you aren't lovable, you aren't loving, you ain't lovable. That's what the ego is. And illusions and the ego is just a belief in what isn't there. Ooh, what is the ego? A belief in what isn't there. What are those mean, unhappy, guilty, unloving, fearful, lacking thoughts that I have in my mind? What are they? Is that true? Is that the truth about me? Is that the truth about reality? Is that really what's going on here? No. Every ego thought, every ego experience is just a belief in what isn't there. I'm upset. I'm believing in something that isn't there. I'm angry. I'm believing in something that isn't there. I'm sick. I'm believing in something that isn't there. That's what's really going on. Dang. The ego is a belief in what isn't there and everything that comes from the ego.
That's powerful, Anna.
All the ego results is just a belief in something that ain't there. But I'm believing in it. And since I'm believing in it, and my mind is powerful, because my mind was created by power, unlimited power. So whatever my unlimited power mind believes in, then that is what I will see and hear and feel. I will experience the results. The cause is my belief, and my experience is the effect. You know, so just because you're believing in something that ain't there, don't mean you're not gonna see it.
See it, feel it.
In this regard, you know, seeing comes from believing. We used to think that, you know, I'll believe it when I see it, but the truth is that after you believe it, then you're gonna see it. Even if you're believing in something that ain't even there. Not a chance of it being true. It's never been there, never will be. It ain't there. It ain't true, you know. But remember, our mind has all the power of the mind that created our mind, which is an unlimited power. So that's why the Course in Miracles says that to make a whole world, to see a whole world, and to think it's real, that's nothing for the power of our minds. Well, how could I have made the whole world as I see it? That's ridiculous. You know, the world is a projection out of my mind. That's a little thing for the power of our mind. Wow. So, all right. So next time you're experiencing the ego voice, you don't like the way you feel, you're upset, you feel guilty, sad, whatever, just do something crazy and tell yourself, I am believing in something that isn't even there. How silly. How's that working out for me? How's it feel? Wow, it really sucks. Yeah, it really hurts. Well, maybe there's another way of looking at this. What could I lose by asking? Hey, spirit. Hey, loving right mind. What is the truth as you see it here? What's going on, love? And then the suffering is replaced by joy. Beautiful. All right. And the seeming conflict between truth and ego can only be resolved by separating yourself from the ego and not from the truth. Okay. What's the first thing we often do when we get upset? Separate ourselves from the truth, and then join with the ego. Come on, ego. I'm gonna talk about it. I'm gonna analyze it. I'm always blah blah blah. Come on. Yeah. Come on. That's the first thing we typically do when we get upset. You know, it's like even though you're hearing in the back of your mind, go read some Course in Miracles. I'm like, oh, fuck. I'm gonna call you know who hates that person that just offended me. That's what I'm gonna do. He said the only way to resolve conflict when you're in hell, the only way to end that hell is to separate yourself from the ego and to join with the truth. Don't separate yourself from the truth when you need it. Don't separate yourself from the truth when you need it. Okay? And when you're in conflict, that's when you need the truth. Because only the truth is going to separate that, is going to replace that suffering with joy. But do notice the old habit of when conflict comes around and you want to avoid your workbook lesson, you want to avoid reading your workbook again, because obviously you don't remember it. Obviously you don't remember that workbook lesson at all, or else you wouldn't be in hell. So notice that temptation to avoid the truth and join with the ego when you're in hell. He says the only way out of conflict, the only way the conflict can be resolved is to separate yourself from the ego lies, your thoughts, and don't separate yourself from the truth. That means just, even if you have to go to the truth and read it like this. Even if you have to listen to the truth like that, even if you have to put yourself in a bathtub to make yourself listen to some truth. Sometimes it's the only way I can get my ego to shut up enough to listen to some truth. I gotta put myself in some hot water, put on some candles, maybe have a glass of wine, maybe not. So, whatever it takes, So, all right, beautiful. Well, there you go. We've stopped at paragraph 5, and what a wonderful section to go and to finish. I'm sure there's some awesome, amazing, more ideas in the rest of the section. Okay, so I'm going to go back and list the class schedule into the body of this video. But on Sundays, Greg and I do Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles, a fantastic, incredible class for how to apply these ideas to all your relationships, okay? The most practical thing ever. And then on Monday, like in this class, this is Practical Applications of A Course in Miracles. And then on Tuesdays, Greg and I come back and also do Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles. So we do Transforming Relationships Through A Course in Miracles Sunday evenings and Tuesday evenings, and Mondays it's this class. And I will post that in the body of the thing. Wonderful. Thank you for joining this healing circle. I so appreciate you joining these ideas to make them stronger for all the world. So appreciate that. Beautiful. And if it wasn't for you, then I couldn't teach the ideas that I need to accept more for myself. So thank you. I need you as much as you need me, because we are one. I cannot have it without giving it to you. And I can't believe I deserve it unless I teach it to you. So thank you so much for that. All right, we're going to do a 2-minute integration meditation, and then we are going to go back to the forgiveness lab. Okay? That's what the world is, the forgiveness lab. So close your eyes and take a breath. The first thing that I want us to hear again for ourselves. I want you to hear your teacher, your loving right mind, your higher self. I want you to hear it saying to you, my child, you have taught well. You have taught freedom well, and I'm so grateful to you. And my child, you have taught truth, the loving, releasing from guilt truth. You've taught it, and you've taught it well. I want you to feel good about yourself. And teacher and healer, you have accepted the highest, most holy function in all the world, of all the jobs, of all the functions in the world. You have accepted the highest, the holiest that there is in the world. There's no more high, loving function job than to say, I am willing to take my place among the healers of the world. I am willing to take my place among the healers of mankind and the healers of earth. I am willing to learn how to be helpful to humanity. I am willing to learn how to be helpful to humanity. And you've done that. And there's no higher function in the whole world than the one that you have accepted for yourself. I want you to feel good about that, to recognize what a miracle it is. I want you to recognize how valuable what you do is, what you give to the world. There is nothing of more value in the whole world than the truth that you have taught and taught well. There is nothing more valuable, no job that is more needed on earth at this time than the job you have accepted as a teacher and a healer for humanity. Even if you haven't even fully integrated the teaching that you've taught well. The salvation of the entire world depends on you. That's how needed you are. That's how important you are. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You who have decided to take your place among the healers of the world. You are the light of the world. The salvation of the world depends on you. What function could be more valuable, more needed, especially now on earth? And you who have the light to give to the earth, are you going to say no to the healing of mankind just to listen to your ego that doesn't know you at all and isn't even a part of you? Are you going to deny mankind the healing that it so desperately needs just to listen to that liar? Just because you learned it in the past? Don't refuse your function. Recognize the obvious. You are loving. You are lovable. And now I want you to bring to your awareness a conflict that you are experiencing either in your life or in the world. I want you to bring to your experience a conflict that you've got going on right now. It doesn't feel like peace. And now I want you to ask yourself, if I was teaching or counseling or healing myself, if I was someone else, if it was me, if I was suffering, if someone else was suffering in the way I'm suffering with this conflict right now, what would I say to them? What have I said to those who have been in a conflict like I'm in right now? What have I said to them? What have I taught them? What would I say to somebody who is bringing to me the conflict that I am experiencing right now? What would I say to them? Now I want you to say that to yourself right now. Tell yourself, say your name, and say it to yourself. Say you and say your name. And I want you to say it to yourself with conviction, all the conviction you've said it to those you've taught. Accept it as true for yourself. You are important. You are needed. You are the light of the world. The world needs you. You are only love. You are loving and lovable. Your teaching is important. It's valuable. It's needed. The way that you teach freedom, the way you teach love is valuable. Very, very, very valuable. Many need it exactly like it comes through you. However, the love and the freedom truth comes through you to others, there are many who can only hear it just like it comes through you. There are many, 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 many who need the loving truth of freedom exactly the way it comes through you. Nothing more, nothing less. Lots, many legions, Don't abandon them. Don't abandon those who need it just the way you do it. Just to listen to the liar voice within you who doesn't know you. Who doesn't know what a gifted teacher and healer and helper you are. Don't abandon them who need you. For the ego who doesn't even know you and certainly doesn't love you. Teachers of God, saviors of mankind, awake and take your place so long left unfulfilled in the great awakening. Teachers and healers, awake and take your place so long left unfulfilled in the great awakening. It is time. I so appreciate you guys. I so appreciate you guys bringing your bodies into the room. Thank you so much. I appreciate you so much. And I'll see you next time I see you.